Hi, welcome to the New Author podcast. I'm Lucy, and I'm here today with a new author to talk about his first book,
Hi,
published
Lucy.
last month. So, welcome.
Welcome to you.
Tell us a little about yourself. Firstly, how do I pronounce Fergus Ò Conaill? And secondly, what led you to writing?
Well, it's pronounced Fergus Ò Conaill. It's the Irish spelling for O'Connell or O'Conaill.
Okay.
And what led me to writing? Well, I think I've always been quite creative. I've been involved in various creative activities. So yes, writing's just an extension of that.
You've been writing for years, but this is your first published book. What finally pushed you to finish this and go public?
It was always a bit of a background activity, but during the pandemic, when there was less work around, I had a bit more time to spend on it. And then it was really when we moved that I had the opportunity to finish the book. And the publishing now, it's a lot easier with Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books to actually get a self-published author to get them out into the wide world. So the e-publishing methods are a lot easier now. So that's when I decided to finish it and get it out there.
Just giving a bit more detail, can you describe where you live now and how your Irish roots still shape your perspective and your storytelling?
So my family, my parents were from Dublin in Ireland, and but I was brought up in England, and then it was a few years ago that we decided to move to mainland Europe to get a bit more sunshine and to have a nicer way of life. But in terms of my Irish roots, my father and my grandfather were great storytellers, certainly in that Irish tradition of telling long, what we'd call shaggy dog stories. So they're very much good raconteurs. So maybe there's a little bit of an influence there. My father was very into Irish literature, Joyce, etc. So that was certainly instilled upon us from a young age, the idea of literature and poetry and things like that. So I think that maybe had some influence.
So why Robbie Williams? Are you a super fan?
No, I wouldn't say I'm a super fan of Robbie Williams, although I found his story very interesting. I was in a band when I was a teenager, so the idea of being in a band, and then he became very successful, and then, the falling out, and then the slide into drink, drugs, and then the kind of musical redemption of his solo career, which went amazingly well, but obviously still wasn't that happy in himself.
Anything you found especially moving or surprising while researching?
I think what I found more surprising was in his later life, getting some peace mentally with meeting his partner and then having a family. So I think that certainly made him a happier person. So I found that that life arc really, really interesting.
Okay. Your book is described as both deeply personal and music focused. How did you balance biography with your own passion for music?
Well, I think it is a deeply personal story. That's why I wrote it in the first person. So I think I wanted to give his perspective on things that happened in his life. I know that Robbie has some autobiographies, but personally, I think they're very much ghost written. So it's more of a conversation. And he's not actually putting pen to paper himself. And I think there's an interpretation by the ghostwriter, so you're still not getting his true voice. And so I think that's where me writing in the first person can have a better voice for that. But in terms of my own music career, such as it is, I don't really want to talk about that. I don't think that has any relevance to this story.
Okay, no worries. Robbie's career spans huge cultural shifts. How did that influence the tone and shape of the book?
Yeah, I think there have been a lot of cultural changes during his life. I think from the 90s and the sort of lad and ladette culture, I certainly think they're very different times to the times that we have now.
Right.
So I tried to reflect those cultural points in the book. And as time went on, certainly changes in the cultural makeup of the UK, which also I think affected his own outlook, and there's a certain amount of maturity that comes with age as well. So I try to reflect a changing thought process when using his voice, to talk about both his life and what's going on externally.
Any messages for long-time Robbie fans?
In terms of a message to Robbie fans, I think hopefully they'll see that writing from the first person, I think, gives some insight into what he might have been thinking during those periods.
Okay, I'm just thinking about being a writer in a time when AI is generating more and more content. Did you worry about originality or how technology might affect publishing?
I think yes, the AI certainly has a growing influence on everything, really. Certainly, when you see stuff online, there's a lot of AI generated stuff which just looks a bit rubbish, really. But also, sometimes I notice some things that are real and people just say it's all AI. So there's that thing that people assume that everything is AI now. I suppose it's slightly frustrating when you've put in all the time and effort into researching a book, creating a book, writing it yourself, and then to be possibly accused of being AI. I'm not quite sure how AI would write a whole book.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, that's just my personal opinion.
Also, did you also worry about readers or critics assuming a book was AI assisted when it wasn't? Does that frustrate you?
But it certainly has an influence. I mean, if you're doing some Google search where you're looking for some facts and figures, so Google will come back with its AI response. So is that using AI for your book? I'm not sure. The other thing is when you're checking your spelling or your grammar, they call them AI tools now, which are helping you. But really, it used to just be called a spell checker or a grammar checker. So I'm not quite sure whether that's really AI. So I don't think it will really replace what we're doing as authors.
Okay. How do you think human creativity will remain important in an AI driven world, especially when telling someone's life story?
Yes, I do think human creativity is going to remain vitally important. I don't think that AI is going to be able to replace writing novels or writing books about people. I think that that's a certain skill because you need to get under the skin of what someone emotionally or the emotions involved in writing a book.
Uh-huh.
And there are nuances in that. For example, just being brought up in the UK and at that time, you'll have that will affect your mentality, and you need to be able to put that across in a book. And I don't think that AI, with some American voice and very glib statements, is going to be able to represent the true voice of someone at all. I think that's going to be almost impossible, and I think it should be easy to see the difference between something that is AI written and something that is written by a person. I mean, there are certain skills involved, but certainly on the emotional side that I think is very hard to replace with AI.
Okay, great. We must let people know where they can read your work. So where can listeners find the book and follow your journey as an author?
So the book is available on Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books, Apple Books, Barnes and Noble, various places. You can either look up my author name, Fergus Ò Conaill, which is Oconaill, or just look up the book, Robbie Williams, The Last Pop Star. So there are various ways to find me. That's where you can get the book. There's an ebook download. There's also a paperback version available.
Great. So what's next for you as an author? Are there more books or writing projects on the horizon after this one?
Yes, I am working on a new idea for a book, actually. I've got the outline and I'm starting to write the chapters. Again, I'm using it as the first person narrative. I find that's an easier way to write, and I find it more engaging if you can perhaps understand the thoughts and the internal monologue that people might be having. So I find that as an interesting way to write. So that's what I'm working at the moment. If you follow me as an author, you'll be able to see that hopefully when it's finished.
So cool. Thanks for joining me today and good luck with the book.
Thanks for having me, Lucy. It's been really interesting, and thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.